It was a hot summer morning in Atlanta, Georgia. Rebecca and Michael's house, a middle-aged couple, was full of life. Rebecca, with her kind eyes and warm smile, always had a gift for making any space feel inviting. Michael, on the other hand, was a calm and pragmatic man who believed in the little things in life. They lived together with their children, Emily and Daniel, and were looking for lasting peace, something that had seemed more and more distant in recent months. Over the past few years, their lives had been marked by unexpected challenges. Finances were tight, Michael's health problems had started to worsen, and although their relationship with the children was loving, it was filled with tension. However, Rebecca had always believed there was something deeper happening in their home, something she couldn't explain. Arguments were frequent, the energy felt stagnant, and there was a sense of discomfort in the air. One day, while cleaning the house, Rebecca noticed something peculiar. The family's broom, always left in the same spot next to the laundry room, seemed to become the focal point of her unease. She always placed it there between the wall and the cupboard door, but it seemed like its energy was charged with an invisible tension, a tension she couldn't shake off. She'd never paid much attention to where the broom was stored until one rainy afternoon when the idea from her friend Carla came to mind. Carla, a longtime friend, had always been someone deeply connected to energy and spirituality. She practiced energetic cleansing in her home and firmly believed that the environment you live in plays a vital role in people's health and prosperity. Rebecca remembered a conversation she had with Carla a while ago about the importance of keeping the house clean, not just physically but energetically. Carla had mentioned, rather intriguingly, that the place where the broom is kept can say a lot about the energy in the house. So, Rebecca decided to investigate the matter more carefully. One quiet night, after everyone had gone to sleep, she got up and went to the laundry room. She observed the broom leaning against the wall, just as always. But now in her mind, something seemed different. She remembered Carla's words, saying that when a broom is placed in a spot where energy is stagnant, it can attract negative energies such as poverty and even sickness. The broom, with its symbolism of cleaning and renewal, should be stored in a place that represents clarity and flow. Intrigued by this idea, Rebecca began researching more about the symbolism of the broom in different cultures. She discovered that, according to many spiritual traditions, sweeping is a ritual to drive away negative energies. But the broom must also be treated with respect and positioned in a way that doesn't accumulate that same stagnant energy. The more Rebecca read, the more convinced she became that something was wrong with how the broom was being stored in her home. That simple object, which seemed harmless, might actually be contributing to the chaos in her life. The next day, she decided to talk to Michael about what she had learned. At first, he laughed at the idea, thinking it was just a superstition. "Rebecca, do you really think the broom is the reason for our situation?" he asked, still smiling as he drank his coffee. But Rebecca was determined. She explained to him everything she had learned, the symbolism of the broom, how it could be absorbing and holding onto negative energies, and consequently attracting poverty and illness into the house. Michael, though skeptical, respected his wife's idea and agreed that she had every right to test the theory. Hold on. As you follow this story, have you ever stopped to think that this could be happening in your own home? I want to know from you. Where do you keep the broom in your house? Comment below if it's the same place Rebecca keeps hers or if you've noticed anything strange related to where you store it. I'm curious to hear your thoughts and experiences. And so, the two of them decided to change where the broom would be kept. They chose to place it in a brighter corner of the kitchen, near a window that always caught the morning sunlight. It was a place that, according to Rebecca, symbolized renewal and the entrance of good energy into the house. In the days that followed, something surprising started to happen. The atmosphere inside the house began to change. The arguments, although they didn't disappear completely, became less frequent. Michael started feeling healthier, with the symptoms of his illnesses easing up. Emily and Daniel were calmer, and even the family's finances began showing signs of improvement. It was as if the house, after the simple change of where the broom was kept, had released a more positive energy. Rebecca, however, knew that the change wasn't just about moving the broom. She started adopting other energy-clearing rituals, like using white candles, and introduced more natural elements into the house, such as plants and crystals, believing that everything could strengthen the energy in their home even more. She also began cleaning the surfaces more often, believing that, just like the house, she also needed to clean herself from the inside out. Over time, Rebecca became more and more aware of how the environment in which you live can influence your health and well-being. She shared her discoveries with Carla, who congratulated her for having the courage to make changes to her home, and she began to feel more at peace with her living space. Although Michael was still skeptical, he couldn't deny that something had shifted. The tensions that once seemed to hang in the air were now dissipating, and a sense of harmony was beginning to take over the place. One afternoon, after a long day of work, Michael approached Rebecca with a smile on his face. "You were right, Rebecca," he said. "I don't know how, but I feel like things are getting better. The house feels lighter, and we're all more at peace. I had no idea that something as simple as the broom could make a difference." Rebecca smiled, feeling a deep satisfaction in her heart. She knew that in that moment, it wasn't just the broom's position that had changed, but the very way she and her family were approaching life and the energy around them. The simple act of adjusting where the broom was kept had become the catalyst for a profound and necessary transformation in their lives. And so, Rebecca and Michael's home, which once felt weighed down with tension and struggles, had transformed into a place of renewed energy, prosperity, and health. The broom, now kept with more respect and care, symbolized the start of a new cycle of blessings and harmony for everyone living there. Rebecca, who had always been more sensitive to the energy around her, began to feel that the change had brought deeper results than she had imagined. She and Michael started communicating in a more open and, in a way, lighter manner. Emily and Daniel began having more peaceful nights of sleep, and even their school performance seemed to improve. Small miracles were happening in their home, and Rebecca knew it couldn't be a coincidence. She felt that something had changed, not only in the physical environment, but also in the emotional and spiritual lives of everyone. One afternoon, when Rebecca was tidying up the living room, an old friend, Sarah, came to visit. Sarah had always been full of life, but this time something about her seemed different. Her gaze was more focused, as if she were looking for something. After some small talk, Sarah finally brought up the subject.
"Rebecca, I need to ask you something that might sound a little strange, but I feel like you could help me," Sarah said with a curious look. "Sure. What's up?" Rebecca asked, bracing herself to hear one of the many concerns her friends often shared with her. "I've been feeling so tired lately. I wake up exhausted, no matter how many hours I sleep, and things aren't going too well financially either. I don't know what's going on, but I have this feeling that something's off in my house. Have you ever gone through something like that?" Sarah asked with a deep sigh. Rebecca paused for a moment, looking at her friend. She felt that what Sarah was saying was not something to be ignored. She sensed deep inside that this was the right moment to share what she had learned over the past months about energy and spiritual cleansing in the home. "I know this might sound a little out there, but have you ever looked into the energy in your house? I've started making some changes here, and it seems like everything's been getting better. There's something simple but powerful you can try. Have you paid attention to where you keep the broom?" Rebecca asked softly, with a serene smile. Sarah looked at her with a mix of confusion and curiosity. "The broom? What does the broom have to do with this?" Rebecca explained patiently and enthusiastically, sharing everything she had learned about house energy and how objects like the broom could deeply affect the environment. She talked about the old beliefs, suggesting that where you kept the broom had a direct effect on a family's prosperity and health. "I can't promise you it's the only solution, but we've seen how small changes can lead to big transformations. Try moving the broom, maybe even bring in more light and fresh air into the space. It may seem too simple, but I assure you, it can make a difference." Sarah, though skeptical, decided to give her friend's suggestion a shot. She went home and carefully began observing the space where she kept the broom. It was in a dark corner, near the laundry room, far from natural light. Sarah's house was also filled with tension. Arguments with her husband, the struggle to keep the bills in check, and health issues caused by stress and insomnia. All of that seemed to reflect in the home's energy. She decided to follow Rebecca's advice and moved the broom to a more brightly lit, visible spot near the kitchen window where the sunlight streamed in every morning. Just like Rebecca, she also started practicing small, energy-clearing rituals in her home, like lighting white candles and opening the windows in the morning to let the house breathe. In the first few days, Sarah felt a strange lightness in the air. It was as if the house had become more open, more airy. Its energy seemed more fluid, and even her mood appeared to improve. She began sleeping better, and her outlook on financial struggles started to change. It wasn't that the situation magically resolved itself, but Sarah began to see solutions that hadn't been clear to her before. Even her husband, who had always been a bit skeptical, started noticing a change in her behavior, and with that, in their relationship as well. The impact of changing the Broom's location, though simple, seemed to trigger a real transformation in Sarah's life. She was excited, and while talking to Rebecca about her experience, she revealed something surprising. I can't explain it, but you were right. I started to feel more energized. I started attracting more opportunities, and even though my financial situation hasn't changed drastically, I've started making wiser decisions. The house now feels more open, more welcoming, she said, visibly excited. Rebecca, hearing this, smiled with gratitude and satisfaction. She knew something bigger was at play. She believed in the power of home energy, and seeing her friend go through the same experience made her feel even more confident that what she was doing was right. That simple change, the act of caring for and respecting the spaces in the home, could truly transform not only people's lives, but the very dynamics of the home. Rebecca and Michael continued to live their transformation. They were closer, calmer, and gradually blessings began to manifest in unexpected ways. Michael's health continued to improve. Emily and Daniel were more focused and happy, and even the finances started to flow more freely. The house, now filled with renewed energy, had become a reflection of their inner journey. The broom, carefully stored and respected, symbolized not only the act of sweeping dirt, but also of clearing the negative energies that had accumulated for so long. Rebecca and Michael began to appreciate the importance of maintaining harmony in the home, not just in terms of physical cleanliness, but also energetic cleanliness. They started applying this awareness to other areas of their lives and realized how small changes could lead to big transformations. Over time, Rebecca shared her experience with others, including her community and friends, who were amazed by the results. Some, like Sarah, followed her suggestions and began to experience positive changes in their own homes. The next day arrived, and the early hours of the morning brought with them a different feeling in Rebecca and Michael's home. The decision to change the Broom's storage place still lingered in the air as a peculiar idea, but one that couldn't be ignored. They had decided to give that superstition a chance, even though they didn't fully understand what was behind it. Michael was in the kitchen, making breakfast, and Rebecca walked into the living room with a lighter air. As she entered the kitchen, she smiled when she saw Michael stirring the pots. But before saying anything, she glanced at the corner of the room where the broom now rested, carefully stored. "Do you feel anything different?" she asked, her gaze still focused on the broom, now hidden in a more discreet spot near the cupboard. Before, it had been behind the kitchen door, a place that, according to her grandmother's beliefs, wasn't ideal. Michael, distracted, hesitated for a moment. He hadn't thought about it deeply, but the change seemed obvious. "I don't know, maybe it's just my mind, but the house feels fresher, lighter. Do you think it has something to do with the broom?" Rebecca thought for a moment, her grandmother's words echoing in her mind. "I'm not sure, Michael, but since the broom was relocated, it feels like even the energy in here is more flowing. Things are calmer. I can't explain it, but maybe it's a sign that we're heading in the right direction." Michael looked at her, realizing she truly believed in this. "You know," he said, "when you mentioned the broom, I was skeptical, but after reflecting on how our life has changed over the last few months, maybe the home's energy really does have something to do with it." Rebecca smiled softly, touching Michael's hand. "I know it sounds strange, but small things make a difference, and the broom, with its symbolism, might be connected to something much deeper than we realize." As they were talking, Sarah, the couple's daughter, came down the stairs, her hair still messy from bed. She yawned, still sleepy, and headed toward the kitchen. As she passed the living room, she noticed the broom in its new spot and paused for a moment, curious. "Hey, Mom, why is the broom there now?" she asked, narrowing her eyes as she looked at the object. "Wasn't it supposed to be behind the kitchen door?" Rebecca sat at the table, thoughtful. "Yeah, it used to be there. But your dad and I learned something that can change the energy of the house. The broom has a certain symbolism, you know? Some cultures believe that where it's kept can influence the harmony and health of our home." Sarah laughed, but there was a spark of curiosity in her eyes. "Are you telling me that the broom can change our life?" Michael, who had been quiet until then, added, "Well, maybe it's not just the broom, but how small details can change the way we see and feel things. The idea is that, by changing the broom's position, we're also changing our attitude toward what's around us." Sarah frowned, reflecting on this. I don't know, but I'll keep an eye on it. If the house feels more peaceful, maybe I'll start believing it. Rebecca stood up and picked up the broom, holding it delicately in her hands. I hope this makes a difference, even if it's small. Just the fact that we're trying is already a positive step. That day was different. Throughout the rest of the morning, Rebecca noticed a lightness in the house, as if the air had become fresher. There was something inexplicable, yet comforting, in the environment. Even Sarah's energy seemed more peaceful, more focused on her tasks, without the typical bursts of frustration that sometimes characterized her. As the day passed and night came, Michael and Rebecca sat on the couch, watching TV, but their conversation was interrupted by a moment of silent reflection. Without saying anything, Rebecca stood up and went to the room where the broom was kept. She observed it for a moment, as if she could feel some change there. "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" Michael asked, with a light smile on his face. "Yes," she replied. "I don't know exactly what happened, but something feels different. The house is calmer. I feel more at peace here. How about you?" Michael thought for a moment, looking at the spot where the broom was. "You know, I feel that too. It might just be a coincidence, but the sense of peace is real. I think our home is showing us that we have the power to change what's not working." Rebecca returned to the couch, snuggling next to him. "I think the broom was the first step. Now, we need to think about more things we can change. Maybe our attitude needs some adjustments too, the way we handle difficulties." Michael agreed, looking at the TV screen, but with his mind elsewhere. He now knew that, more than just an object, the broom represented a shift in mindset, a new way of looking at life. And while the couple reflected on this, their home became a more harmonious place, where positive energy began to grow and thrive. Now that you know the details of this story, and understand how the place where you keep the broom can impact your home's energy, share this knowledge. Comment below with your thoughts on the topic, share with your friends, and like our channel. Together, we can spread good energy and transform every home into a healthier, more prosperous place. And so, the broom, that simple object everyone considers just a tool for physical cleaning, became the symbol of a new cycle in Rebecca, Michael, and everyone around them's life. The home's energy, reflecting its inhabitants' energy, thrived, bringing health, abundance, and harmony to all. The power of the broom, a symbol of renewal and purification, had proven to be much more than just a household item. It was, in fact, a portal to a new way of living, where positive energy and good intentions could create an environment of peace and prosperity.